creators, they can do so many different things.
Best performing ads don't feel like ads.
Just find one thing that you can focus on as a channel, get that right.
We gotta get away from this attribution mess.
Don't recreate the wheel.
None of it ever makes sense.
It takes a lot of effort.
On today's episode of the podcast, I have Ian Sells, the co-founder of Join Brands, and we talk about influencer marketing and how you as a brand can really scale your UGC creation using their platform. It's really cool stuff. Like literally you can get a UGC video created for as low as $60. And obviously UGC is really important if you're looking to scale, and it's becoming more and more important every day. Really enjoyed this episode with Ian. He's a great guy, and I think that there's a lot of juicy details in here that will greatly benefit your brand. So let's get into the show. Welcome to the show, Ian. Super excited to have you, man. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my name is Ian Sells. I'm a e-commerce expert. I've been around the block a long time. I'm most known for starting a bunch of different softwares in the e-commerce space. So I built a company called RebateKey, and most notably now we're running Join Brands, which is an influencer marketing platform. And at the same time, I built a community of 600 plus top Amazon sellers, all doing over $1 million, called $1 Million Sellers.
How did those two things merge, e-commerce and tech?
Yeah, actually, my background's in real estate. So I did a lot of real estate deals, apartment buildings, flipping houses. And one of my buddies from college was buying stuff in China, and I gave him $1,000 and we bought some stuff and sold it on Amazon in like 2010. And saw that was pretty cool. I actually was a computer science major in school, but I switched after the first semester into real estate and finance, got really interested in real estate. So that's kind of what got me started. And we grew that business to $1 million business and sold it. And I said, hey, I got to keep going on this, path. I like making money when I'm sleeping versus real estate where I was making good money, but I was only doing it when I was, putting deals together. So yeah, I kept going, launched a couple of more brands, and sold a brand just before COVID to one of the largest aggregators in the space.
So you're kind of like the idea and the execution. You're not much of a coder. Is that right?
No, I'm not a coder. Did that back in the day when it was just HTML and JavaScript. But yeah, more so the idea guy, getting things started, kicking it off, seeing the future a little bit and what could become. So, that's how like my businesses have all started. Like, okay, I'm doing an Amazon business. Let me start a community of Amazon sellers and then keep leveling that up until, okay, hey, we have 150 members. Let's start charging people to come in here. And then all of a sudden now we have, a big business. And so from that's how we started our influencer marketing platform called Join Brands, just to solve a problem that I saw everybody having. My partner and I saw everybody having, and which was, how do I work with, content creators and influencers? And it was just a lot of effort for a little reward.
And I see that happening a lot where brands just don't have a good process in place for A, getting in touch with influencers, but B, just like creating that engine to really scale that and to get quality content coming all the time. And you and I connected a couple of weeks ago, but another problem they run into is they'll send a free product to an influencer and then they just get ghosted, right? That's
a huge challenge. And what I faced when I was doing it with my own internal team, and I had a VA in the Philippines, reaching out to people on Instagram, out of 100, you get a couple of responses, right? It's hard to find their contact information. You don't know who they are. They say, yeah, I'm interested. You send them some products, and then 1 out of, 10, actually completes the job. So not only the time that it takes, but like the, accountability that the creators had was low. And that when I was doing it, like UGC creators wasn't really a thing. It was more like micro influencers. And so, but then it started to change into, UGC creators are micro influencers, and those are the best performing type of ads and the best performing type of creative for your website or your, Amazon listings or what have you. Right. So, that I saw that, and same thing in the group of my 600 plus sellers. Hey, anybody have an SOP for, working with creators? I sent out 100 products and I only got 2 pieces of content. They both suck. There was no control and it was very difficult. And so my partner, he's like, hey, we can fix this, with our technology and you using a platform and software to, solve those steps of the process and create a network where you just post a job and creators apply and you're off to the races, right? And there's accountability. and timelines.
If anyone's new to the concept of UGC, could you just quickly explain what that is and why it's such a successful form of content?
Yeah, so it's user generated content is what it stands for, and it is basically, it comes from authentic content that a brand would get if, like, let's say you went to McDonald's and you were just taking a photo of yourself eating that burger, right? And then sending it to McDonald's to use as advertising. That's a very authentic type of content. Now, the problem is that's hard to get, right? But that's how this content came about. And people saw that this was really effective in marketing because, typically a burger brand would use a super good looking model, right, on their TV ads, and burger juice is dripping everywhere. And, people just know that that's not real life. And it's like, it's cool to look at, but it doesn't get you in that mode. And also, like micro influencers, UGC creators, like let's say your girlfriend or your wife or whatever, right? Your friends, if they post something that you see, you're more likely to take action on that because it's coming from a friend and a recommendation. So it feels more natural, and it's been proven to have higher conversion rates.
There's also like this element of being able to like see yourself as the person consuming that product, right?
Exactly.
I think that like that transformation is really huge there. But at the end of the day, the best performing ads don't feel like ads.
Right. Or they get your attention, right? But it's not like they're selling you on something. They're really doing something unique and authentic. If you look at the Dollar Shave Club back in the day, it was more funny and engaging than it was selling. And it felt like a real person was talking to you. And so you're like, oh, I get this, versus, like a TV ad for a shaving, cream or something. It's just, beautiful people, celebrities, whatever. You're like, okay, well, that's cool, but I'm not going to go buy it because they did that.
Dude, marketers are getting so good at running good UGC ads. Like, I'll be scrolling through my reel feed on Instagram and I'll be watching this ad for like 30 seconds before I even realize that's an ad, right?
Yeah, it blends right in. That's the thing. It's like, that, okay, it looks just like everything else on your feed. So when you see something that has a good hook in the beginning, which is, I think, something super important with UGC, that you're like, oh, you didn't even realize it was an ad until you kind of got a few seconds in, and then they're selling you something or showing you how this benefits your life.
Yeah, that hook is key. What's your typical like recommendation for that? Like 5-second hook, 3-second hook?
A lot of research goes into it generally, but what are the 5 things that do this, or like, something you shouldn't not know about, right? Like really like, hey, if you're doing this, stop. And then, right, like, don't, so you really have to do something in the beginning that captures their attention, or you're going to say you're going to reveal how to solve this problem, but here's why you should do all these things. So you can do a lot of research. ChatGPT is great for finding out like good hooks and stuff. But yeah, the first part of the video is essential to capture their attention to keep, people engaged. What
is the traditional way of brands getting their hands on like a steady supply of UGC, like right from their customers?
There's, a lot of people will email you, say, hey, send us a picture of yourself or a video testimonial, and we'll give you $25 off your next purchase, right? There's some after purchase stuff that goes on. But it's not in volumes in generally, unless you have volumes of sales, right? It's going to be a very low conversion rate on people taking action. It's your brand ambassadors, your brand loyalists. If you have those in your brand, if you're just getting started, you're not going to have that. So, that's where like, okay, I need to buy some authentic, UGC content. And basically it's just hiring people that like making content to talk about your brand, and they're saying, hey, I can represent this particular brand. I can represent this. So, there's definitely different ways to do it, but it's hard to get. And that's why there's so many UGC creation sites out there and different ways of navigating this path.
One of the ways that a lot of brands used to do it in the past was they would just like try to create this hashtag, right? And try to create buzz around like, I think Chewy is a good example of that. Like people are always like posting pictures of their pets inside their Chewy boxes and stuff. And that's like awesome, right? But for most brands out there, that's not a realistic method of getting UGC. And
there's actually a caveat there, because you can't just take somebody else's content and then make it your own. Like you have to get the license and the rights, and so you can't, if somebody hashtags your brand, it's not your content, it's their content. And if you use it in an ad, they can come after you. So you really do need to, have a contract signed with any creator that you work with, or use a platform that already has a built-in contract. And I've seen brands get in trouble for like, oh, they just like, okay, like all these brand people are posting pictures of their cats, with this cat toy, and then they use it in an ad, and then they're getting sued for $100,000, right? Because that's not their content.
What has really changed between and is there a difference between an influencer and a creator?
Yeah, I think the good creators become influencers, right? Influencers traditionally were like, celebrities influencing you. That was the original, like, okay, let's pay Kim Kardashian to, do an ad for us. And I actually did one with her. And it was part of this whole, thing. And we got a ton of followers, but they weren't authentic, right? They didn't engage with our content. They just did it because she told them that they would win, a bunch of purses if they followed all these brands. So then you kind of move down the funnel into the more authentic creators, which are basically like, people on YouTube or Instagram that just talk about a niche, right? Like I'm a mom and I talk about how mom life is crazy and what all the things I do, and that's an influencer in the mom space. And then other moms follow her because she's really funny, interesting, or, creative, right? And so that's now what you would call a creator that became an influencer. And then you have basically the micro or nano influencers, which are people like with, less than 5,000 followers, right? Mostly, even if 500 followers, but they're all your friends, or you're still an influencer in your circle. So that's a great, whatever you promote and I follow you and I trust you, I'm going to, do it. So, but you're starting out as a creator, you like to make content, and you're, if you're posting every day about your life, you're a creator, right? If you have no problem doing testimonials or reading scripts, you're really good at figuring out how to position a product right so it feels natural, you're a creator. So I think like what's happened is that the middle creators that became influencers, they are expensive to hire, right? And they have agents, and so you're going to pay $10,000, $5,000 for them to do a series or a piece of content for you, versus a lower end creator where you have a lot more chances at a video maybe going viral, getting exposed, or like if you're running advertising, then spending $5,000 on one piece of content which you don't know if it'll work may not make sense. So that's where like really the lower end UGC creators came about. And it became a business because you can do it from anywhere with just your phone, essentially. And there's some people that really get it, and they use light rings and they create some really great content. And there's creators who think they create content and they don't do a whole great job of it, but it's still authentic looking. Or it's like as if you just did it. You pull your phone right this second and made a piece of content, but you didn't set up the stage and like really kind of like think about how you're gonna promote it. So there's different levels of it, but I think like now with the way the ads work and the way that brands want to get exposure, they want, to reach a larger number of audiences. They know that micro influencers actually influence people pretty well. And you can do it for free. You can do it for a small payment, right? You can reach out directly, and they usually will say, hey, I normally charge $100, but I'll do it for free because I like your brand, knowing that you won't pay them $100. Or sometimes you could just get them to do it for a free product, like product seeding is.
Yeah, so I know Join Brands is kind of like meant to be like the Fiverr of UGC or the Upwork of UGC, right? Where you just get your hands on the content. But is there any overlap there between the creators creating that content for the brand specifically, and there's an exchange of dollars there, maybe an exchange of product? Do they typically also post that and spread that to their audience, or is that something the platform can handle?
When we started, we were just a UGC platform, but we quickly realized that the UGC creators also are willing to post it to their social media and become micro influencers. So we call those influencer jobs. And when a creator, does a job, you can either do a UGC only job, so content only, or you can do content plus posting, which is like an influencer marketing job. And then we have another type of job, which is a much lower paying job, but it's allowed you to get more content, from lots of different creators, but you're not going to get the best creators because they won't work for that, price. So we have different levels for each, but on our platform, creators will post about your product and the content that you ask them to create, and that you can get hundreds of pieces of content done very quickly because we have over 80,000 creators on the platform that have been certified to do content.
And that's huge, dude. I mean, so many brands are out there struggling on how to get in touch with these creators and influencers, and B, like how to scale that, because brands are much better off, working with a bunch of micro influencers as opposed to a handful of actual influencers, right? Because they have more influence over their audience, and they're more authentic with how they promote products, and it's not really even promotion for them, right? Because they're only going to promote products that they like truly believe in and are actual fans of.
Yeah, it's really hard for a brand to, hire somebody. Their full-time job is to do influencer marketing, go reach out to people, send them products. It is a full-time job, and it's a very hit or miss, and it can take a long time. And so think about the money that you spend monthly on that, just trying to get your own creators to do it for free, let's say, versus like, okay, this is not a huge part of our business yet, so like let's get the content going. So let's not recreate the wheel and try to do this all ourselves. Let's just go to one of these platforms. I think Join Brands is the best, obviously, because we build it for that. But like, go post a job. The creators will apply to you. You can pick the ones you want, pay them, anywhere from $15 for an image to $60 for a video to, $100 to post on their social media, and ask them to do lots of things and pick from people who are ready to do this content tomorrow. So like with Join Brands, like we can get you content in 7 days. So the best part about it though, is that when you have content, it's not just like, oh, hey, we paid you, you got posted. Did we get any sales? Likely you didn't get any sales from one posting, but now you have a nice piece of content that you can put on your website, run an ad with. Like you didn't have to sign any contracts. You own the rights to that content. And so repurposing the content that you get on Join Brands is where the value actually lies. And every so often a great video, or you gave them a perfect hook, or they created a great hook, and then the video goes viral on TikTok and you sell out of all your inventory. It's happened. Does it happen all the time? No. But the brands that are doing a lot of this, right? I don't want people to be misled. Like, oh, I just want to go viral. Like, it's actually not that way anymore. Like, less people go viral now. But TikTok has become, like, for instance, TikTok or Instagram has become a search platform. Think about the last time you went to find a product that you wanted or a restaurant. Did you go on Google or did you go on TikTok and search San Diego restaurants, right? And then you got all these recommendations, and I got to see what the food looked like, how they liked it. Here's my 12-day itinerary for visiting Austin. And so that's really cool discovery. And so I think about, how do I show up for my brand best keywords in those searches? So if I'm selling kitchen knives, right? Or let's just say kitchen knives, then I want to show up for people looking for best kitchen knives on TikTok. Okay. And so then if you can seed that search term with a lot of content of your product being used as the best kitchen knife, hashtag best kitchen knife, then you show up for that search. And all of a sudden your brand is now being exposed to those people. And the other hard part about like influencer marketing and it's the correlation of, did that help us with sales? Because there's no, like TikTok, you can't really put a link on a video unless you're running an ad to your website to track conversion. So anybody that sees it, they may search Google for the brand name, or they may go straight to the site. So only if you're giving out, like, say, a coupon code that you can say this coupon code is only for TikTok. It's TikTok 25, get 25% off, and ask the creator to post it. Or like as a brand, maybe you comment on that creator's video and put the code there. But a lot of times people won't use that stuff. So that's the other side of the coin, is like, how do you take this content, make it valuable without knowing the exact ROI, because it's not just directly connected, because it's not an ad.
Dude, as a community, like the e-commerce community as a whole, like we got to get away from this attribution mess. I mean, no matter what way you slice it up, none of it ever makes sense. You're not really answering any questions, right?
Yeah. Frankly, the platforms don't want you to have attribution. Like TikTok doesn't want traffic leaving TikTok. So they don't, that's why there's no active links in videos, is because they want people to stay on TikTok, not leave. And so that's the core problem. If everybody allowed like active links, and you were able to remember when you click the link and said, hey, you're leaving the platform, they even try to force you not to, saying it may not be safe, right? So that's a huge problem. And I don't know that it's going to be solved, because they want you to go buy on TikTok shops, and they may be giving you attribution there. But that's a different story.
Yeah, I think time will tell with TikTok Shop. It's just so new and so difficult to set up that no one really knows yet, but that might be the answer to the attribution woes. Mm-hmm. But I really like the idea of focusing on platforms outside of Google as a search engine, because it's such a slept on strategy. I mean, and this extends well beyond TikTok, but TikTok is very huge for searching, right? Like the example you gave, but like even myself as a millennial, I know Gen Z is like more up to date with using TikTok as a search engine, but like I will never Google recipe ideas ever again. Like I search videos now because like I want to see how to make something in like 2 minutes, as opposed to like reading through some random story about someone's grandma and how
and what it's going to look like, and how it tastes, and like what you could do differently, and all the different ways, right? Like if you search a recipe on TikTok, you're going to get 5 different ways of doing that, or not 500 maybe ways of doing that, and what it looked like at the end of it.
What other use cases should brands be using UGC for?
Yeah, I mean, mashing pieces of UGC together. So taking a couple of videos, turning it into like a collage of videos where they can narrate a story. I've seen some really good examples of people using creators as kind of the storyteller, right? So have them write a script kind of that they can follow and do the UGC, but instead splice in actual like B-roll footage. So like actual good product shots, or like a good, like, hey, when you mix this up and you pour it into your glass, the creator could be talking about it, but you could cut to a scene of somebody just pouring it into a glass, right? And maybe a nicer studio set or something. So mixing those things together work really well, and highlighting like features, like it's got this, and you can on the screen flash like those features and benefits, and improve the quality of it and more the engagement of it, right? Creators, they can do so many different things. So once you have a great creator, you can ask them to do lots of different things, like, hey, do this at your school, do this while you're on vacation, give us more footage so we can like have a more like comprehensive library. And one unique thing about Join Brands is that every creator is free to upload as unlimited piece of content of your product in use. So it's great because you end up with this like library of like content you can come back to, and the creators are actually upselling you, the brand, saying, hey, I know you ordered one image, but here's 25 in different ways. And, you can maybe buy one today and buy one in a week or two, whatever, like if it's good, right? Or even ask them to upload something that you really need. Like, I need you doing one in the bathroom.
Another thing about UGC is just the fact that it's completely evergreen. Like, it's never going to not be relevant unless you change something about your packaging or your brand. Like, you can use that forever.
Exactly. And it's paid authenticity, but it's at the same time, like, I think there may one day, like, it might get fatigued, but like, what is it going to be? Are you going to ever like be okay with AI generated, UGC? I don't think so. It's like, it's going to be obvious, and it just depletes, like, okay, this is not a real person. This is not a real setting that, so I really, some people ask me, like, is AI going to, hurt you guys? And I'm like, no. It's like, maybe we can change the background so we can say, hey, if you're at the beach, if you're at the park, if you're right here, and then in the background we could change the video to like match that. That could be pretty cool. So you could like have variations of a video to test. But as far as like actually, real UGC, it's going to be too cinematic in a sense, to really be authentic, and people will become hip to that anyway. So yeah, I love the micro influencer space. I love the cost benefit, the ROI of getting, 20, 30 pieces of content versus one that you paid the same amount for. It gives you a lot of options. And it also, like, when people look at your website, they go, wow, there's all these people that like your product, and people that are launching brand new products, they'll go to Join Brands, they'll order 10 or 20 images or videos of that product. They have no sales yet, but now all of a sudden they have all this UGC that they can put on their listing as if they sold a ton of stuff already, or they have like all these brand fans. And so that really helps people go, oh, even though it has no reviews, I'm willing to buy it because I see other people have it, they like it as well.
What I like about the platform is you can get UGC that's diverse at scale for not a lot of cost, right? So you can literally, like you said, fill up your PDP with like 15 different people talking about how awesome your product is. Mm-hmm. How long would that take you to get organically, right? Even if you were like had a strong program in place. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty wild in that sense. So what would you say your secrets to scale are?
For us, we're Join Brands, like really getting the word out there, doing, a lot of events and really building a product that people love. We listen to our customers, what they want to see in the platform. And so then they start inviting more people because they got these features that they wanted. And then just doing like, like cross promotions with other brands. So I think there's another thing, like if you're a brand owner, to think about complementary brands that you can work with, right? Maybe you sell beauty cream and somebody else just sells sunscreen, right? Well, you guys can basically like promote each other's products because you have the same customers, but you're not competing, right? Or maybe you sell dresses and beauty cream. Like, why wouldn't you just say, hey, our friends over at this store are doing a sale, you guys should check it out, introduce them, and then they're doing the same thing. All of a sudden their best customers are now your best customers. And so I think that's a great way to grow. And so you just got to think outside the box. And I think I've always, done that. And, just laser targeting on what you want to do and not try to do everything. Just find one thing that you can focus on as a channel, get that right, and then you can move on to another one.
What we do on the agency side of things is we do a ton of customer research, and it's always super interesting to see what they thought their ideal customer looked like and what they actually are. Like, it's night and day difference. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Ian, was there anything I didn't ask you that you'd like the audience to know?
Don't recreate the wheel. Like, there's services out there, mine included, right, that make it really easy to get your hands on some UGC for like low to no cost. And you should start with that versus like, hey, I want to work with like creators and influencers. Okay, like we're going to go reach out. You can do all these different things. And, it takes a lot of effort. Like with us, it's 5 minutes. You'll have creators applying to you in a matter of minutes, and you can go look at their profiles and search it out and find the best ones. And I think that, being realistic and going, okay, one piece of content isn't going to drive sales, right? Or one posting on social media, but, in aggregate, you're building brand awareness. You're building like a network of people who have seen your products, and that over time and the exposure will lead to more sales. And if you do enough postings at one time, like through our platform, you can do like, let's say 100, we call it a blast. You will see brand searches on Google or on Amazon jump because people are seeing those videos and they're searching the brand name that was talked about because there is no direct link. So we've seen that direct correlation, and you will see sales increase, but it won't be able to say, well, which video was that created that, that boost, So that's one thing. And then also with TikTok, there's something called Spark ads. So within our platform, every video you can get a Spark ad. And you can use that in your ad platform or through our platform and promote that video. So you can actually get a lot more exposure, a lot more reach, and a lot more clicks through promoting it through the TikTok ad platform.
So I'm not like super familiar with TikTok ads, but is that the equivalent of like boosting a post?
Essentially boosting a post. It's actually on our platform. It's called Boost. And you can do some targeting and drive the traffic to your Shopify store, to your Amazon listing, to your Google shopping, whatever it is. But it, like what we say is like, if you get a bunch of pieces of content and you find a good one, then you can promote that and, move it to like, 100,000 impressions or 200,000 or a million impressions for not that much money. And so now all of a sudden when people are searching and they come across that video, they go, oh, wow, this one did really well. There's something here. A lot of people saw it, And if you can get a lot of engagement and you ask a question on your video or something, then you'll see a lot more engagement.
And having the ability to boost that content and reach a wider audience with something that obviously performs well is well worth, whatever it costs to put it out there, right? Well, cool. Everyone go check out Join Brands. Ian, what's a great way for anyone to get in contact with you?
LinkedIn's great. You can search me, Ian Sells. It's my real last name. So I'm there. And also, if you're a top Amazon or e-com seller, you should check out $1 Million Sellers. We are the biggest community of top Amazon sellers doing over $1 billion. So collectively, there's over $8 billion of sales in the community.
We'll link that up in the show notes, and thank you again, Ian.